So what we have here is a crack in the bathroom sink. Started off small, and the next thing you know, boom, it's all that. Came out of nowhere. I don't know if it was a manufacturing defect that was just under the surface of the enamel, or they covered it up to mask their sins, but there it is. We bought the house a little over a year ago, and I can't take it anymore. So, plus, this, can't stand this fixture, driving me crazy. It's all pitted and damaged from chemicals and cleaning solutions and stuff. It just, I don't like it. This drain is small. Underneath is a pop-up mechanism to make this open and close, but there's no mechanism to do it up here. So obviously that did not come with that. And they bought the wrong one of these or the wrong one of those. So driving me crazy, gotta go. So what we're transitioning to is this. Oh, make heavenly sound here. So that's the new sink, new fixture. Kind of looks like that. So we're going from this to this. Right? One of the features of this here, so obviously this is much nicer fixture. This doesn't have the pull-up thing, but it doesn't need it because this is how you do this one. It's closed. This is open. Plus you can pull this out, and it's got a hair catcher slash a wedding ring or whatever catcher earring maybe. Pretty nice little function. Dig it. That goes in there. So that's what we're heading to. So one of the concerns I had when I was turning this into this was this little thin piece of granite right here. Trying to get this out, the old one out, without breaking this kind of thin and fragile piece of granite was, it was a challenge. So what I try to do first is use this, right? Oscillating saw with a thin blade because there's not much room up underneath this lip here between the sink and the granite countertop. Try and get that adhesive out, but it's pretty thick. I went through so many different blades. I mean, tore them up. Worked for about 4 hours. It did not work. It drove me crazy. So what I ended up doing was this. I'm going to show you right now. Here we go. We're going live and raw. Let's see if I can set this up. We're going in. Now you can see how hard I just hit that, and it only did that. I don't know how this crack happened, but it obviously wasn't from something being dropped in the sink. That is definitely not the case. So let's see here. You want to try and break it off in big pieces. This is not good as little pieces. Already disconnected the drain, by the way. Let me get that out of there. It's just a show. Oh, nasty. Well, that gasket was beyond its time. So you get the picture, guys. That's how to do it. Can't be dainty. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the previous part of this video, but I disconnected the drain before I busted out the sink, right? So the next steps you're going to do is turn off your water, both your hot and your cold, by the spigots here, and disconnect and drain your feed lines. These just screw right into the bottom of your fixture, right? And then also at the bottom, right above this, are these big plastic nuts. At least that's what held this on. I'll show you what one looks like on this sink. I think I'm turning the right way here. So it looks like this. One of the problems is on the other side, when I went to take it off, I needed a wrench to do it. That's what happened. It busted out. So it starts to bust out on you. It's really not a huge deal. You can still get the fixture out. So that's that. Now once that's out, oh, by the way, gloves. These shards from the sink, that porcelain, super duper sharp. Also the adhesive, the old adhesive that's under here, super sharp. I actually cut my thumb open. I just kind of skinned it, you can see right there. But this stuff is super sharp. And you'll need that glove, especially when you go to the next step. So you take your oscillating saw. I have one of these cutting blades on that's really, really thin. It's actually called a scraper blade. And you get that up underneath this edge, get it nice and flat. I don't know if you can see that in the film or in the video. But, and you just go along. So you can get that far in, which is pretty decent. Should be able to get all your adhesive with that. And another reason to take your braided water supply lines off is you don't want to be cutting with your oscillating saw, right? Box store. I was seeing some denatured alcohol. That's what I was going to grab it. And I'm like, it's a big thing. I'm like, yeah, I don't need all that. I'll just use, I got some alcohol at the house. Go back to the house. There's no alcohol. And I needed something to wipe the underside here. So Granite is porous. I didn't want to use water. So I went to the garage and I found this stuff. Adhesive cleaner. It stinks to all heaven. So I know it's got some kind of high boiler in it. That's what you want. That's the main thing, right? You just want something that you can wipe the underside here and the stuff will dissipate very quickly. So it's not like water that's going to sit in the porous granite for a while. This stuff will evaporate very quickly because it's a low boiler. So it boils at a very low temperature. Once this is clean, give it a couple minutes to make sure that it's dry. And then we'll go on to the next step, which is to clean up this mess. And then we'll go on the process of putting the adhesive on the rim of the sink, and I'll show you how I lift that up into place. So here we are, we have the sink in place down in the cabinet. Got a nice big thick bead of Gorilla Glue construction adhesive all around the edge. You see we got some 550 or some paracord here. And that's basically attached to a 2x4, 2 holes through it, so I can put the loop through. And you see this loop right here, this is what's going to actually suspend the sink. So right now it's just sitting on top of a milk crate up underneath the sink in the cabinet. And what's going to happen is we'll take 2x4s on both sides. That's to spread out the weight of everything. Gonna put some blocks on top. 2x4 across all that. What's that gonna do? So I take this clamp. Clamp will go on here. It will be hanging down. Let me get this set up here. Okay. It'll be hanging down like so, and that loop on the paracord, it's going to go over that end of the clamp right here, and then we'll raise this up. We'll have somebody down here manually lifting the sink up while the person up here tightens up this clamp, and eventually the whole sink will be suspended by that paracord and by this from the 2x4. Now the reason I put in this 2x4 and this other spacer here is to make sure that there's some clearance from the bottom of that to the top of the granite. So that gives us a little bit of space to be able to draw that 550 cord up and hold the sink up against the seal. Now once you get it up kind of close, then you can kind of maneuver around a little bit to make sure you got it lined up perfectly, you know, east, west, north, and south in the hole in the granite. And then you can use the fine tuner here and kind of crank it down and cinch that sink right up where you need it nice and tight. And it takes 24 hours to cure. So that's that. All right, so we just got the sink put in. It's definitely a two-person job. You need one person kind of pushing from the bottom, like I said, and the other person to work the rig on the top. So this is what it looks like underneath. So you can see, here's that 2x4 I was talking about. And it's got, I just drilled 2 holes in the bottom of it and then loop that 550 cord, that paracord through it. So now the 550 cord goes right through the center of the hole in the bottom of the sink. So we'll come up top. So there's a paracord, 550 cord coming through the hole. I did a better job at centering that, but it is what it is. And then there's our clamp. So you can see the 550 is looped over the bottom of the clamp. And there's still a little bit of space there. So I could have cranked it up more, but it's pretty tight. Right? It's actually like guitar string tight. And then clamp this down. You can see I still had a little bit of screwing to go to tighten that up too. So, okay, so some of you experienced guys are probably like, yeah, silly. You definitely want to put the fixture in before you put the sink in. It is so much easier to put that in without this big old sink in the way, because then you can just reach up under here and, you know, tighten up the keepers that attach it to the granite, and then you can hook up the water lines and everything real easy. Doing all that after the sink is put in means you have to go in the cabinet all behind there like a crazy person. I did this one the right way. This one, yeah, I did this one the hard way, guys. So learn from me. Do not do that. So you can see underneath the edge, I already went around. As soon as I came up, there was some spots where some of the adhesive had squished out of the joint. So I already went around and cleaned that up all the way around. And then when it's done, I'll go back through and put a bead of silicone, a nice thick bead of silicone up underneath the ledge. Should be good to go. So tomorrow afternoon, this will be good. Now, one thing I want to point out, the sink manufacturers and most quality sink installers that I've seen will put grommets, they'll drill holes in the bottom side of the granite and then glue these keepers all the way around the perimeter of the sink. And all they are is basically little holes that go up in the hole and they're threaded on the inside. So now you can put a clamp on the edge of the sink to hold it up and screw a screw into this grommet, if that makes sense. All right. Well, when they put this piece of granite in and the sinks in, they didn't pre-drill those, and I just didn't want to take the chance of drilling them and cracking the granite. So I took a chance on this sink yesterday when I put that in with the Gorilla Glue construction adhesive. When I finally took the rig off after 24 hours, I actually pushed down on this with both hands with some rigging underneath it in case it gave out, and it didn't give out. So I'm pretty confident that if the adhesive will stick with me pushing by hand, it's going to hold up to the granite top with just daily use of washing your hands and cleaning the sink and stuff. So I think we'll be okay. So anyway, that's that step in the installation. All right, so we pulled our rigging off of the second sink, and we hooked up the trap. So there's a drain, and then I guess they call it the P-trap, where it goes into the wall. And so the last thing you got to do is turn on your water. Now you want to do that slowly. I got that from watching plumbers channels like Texas Beard Adventures. Hey Brad, if you see this, what's up, dog? Turn on your water slowly here. And then when you go up top, crack your faucet slowly too. So once you crack this, you can check your feed lines that go, the braided ones here that go up to the fixtures. Check those for leaks first. And then you can turn on your faucet, and that's how you check your drain and your P-trap for leaks. So it's pretty easy. All right, you guys ready for the reveal? Here we go. That's what it looked like back in the day. Cracked, ugly ass sink. And now, here's the reveal. So the sinks were $324. The oscillating saw, I bought for this project. I've always been wanting one too. If you already have one, you'll save money on this. That was 79 bucks. The fixtures were 198. The sink drains, these pop-ups here, were 34, and then miscellaneous is 130. Now the miscellaneous category was the blades that I bought for the oscillating saw. And you can see I went crazy on that because I didn't know what I was going to need. That was 110 bucks. So had I only gone with the flat ones that I ultimately needed, the cost would have only been 13 bucks instead of 110. So that's quite a bit of savings right there too. And then adhesive and caulking and stuff was, I rounded up to 16 bucks. And then the traps, those were the underneath the sink, the plastic things that go into the wall. Those are 4 bucks. So total of 130 there, but again, you could have pared it back a little bit with all this. So that comes out total to $765. And again, with all the crazy blades that I bought, all this stuff here, this stuff here, it would have only run about $648. And if you went with the drain instead of this fancy push button drain that I bought, it would have been down to $614. So $614 for brand new faucets and sinks and drains. Pretty sweet. I got everything at the local big box store, with the exception of these sink drains. I ordered those offline.